Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Thursday, July 13th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. Real quick, a couple clarifications. Number one, the price you see over here will be moving and changing, and the candlestick you see right there will also be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time, but I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, ticker symbol LCID, and quite the rough day here. I mean, it had been in a very, very impressive uptrend. So to add in a bit more context, whoops, I'll get rid of these lines as they serve their purpose from past videos. But you can see here, overall uptrend. And let me be very clear, the overall uptrend is still in the bullish direction. Now, yes, today individually, very rough day. But think about that word today, as in one day. Looking at multiple days, you can see that even with that low and this low down here, that, you know, if you envision these as stair steps, overall the stair steps are still going in the upwards direction. So again, it's not like the chart is completely destroyed, but yes, today individually was certainly a very rough day, and, you know, definitely needs to be focused on, because it's always a valid question of, is this some sort of leading indicator of more bearishness to come? So we'll have to see what happens with it. But the near term, what I'm curious about, there does seem to be a quality, whoops, let's change, there we go, change that to this, and put that trend line in play. You can see this trend line has actually done a very, very impressive job, including today. In fact, let me change that to green to represent more so a support trend line. So there we go. So I would definitely keep a close eye on that in the near term as far as supports are concerned. But from the overarching level, you know, the key area, I would definitely consider that pink line there. The 200 period moving average right now valued at, we'll call it 677 right there. So trend line would be the ideal level, but if that doesn't quite hold up, then I would definitely consider that pink line down there much more of a kind of a must-hold level. If there are any sort of attempted bounces back in the upwards direction, key level is going to be all about that purple line there, the 50 period moving average, currently valued at 768. Next one here, CVNA, very, very nice uptrend, although this is somewhat of a tricky chart to talk about because there is a lot of perspective that goes into it. I mean, if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, whatever you want to call yourself, and you bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within 7 minutes, well, then yes, from that perspective, the chart looks pretty bad because, yeah, from that high, there was certainly a bigger pullback that occurred afterwards. With that being said, from the bigger picture point of view, assuming you care about more so, like I said, the overall standpoint, then, and I'm not saying this will occur, but let's say the price heads all the way down to 37.50. So price comes down here, behaves like that, and then starts to curl back up. Now, emphasis here on big picture. From the big picture, what would you have? Well, you'd have a set of lows there, you'd have lows there, you'd have lows there, you'd have lows down here. And like I just talked about in the previous one, if you envision these as stair steps, what do you have from the big picture point of view? Well, you'd still very clearly have stair steps progressing in the upwards direction. So in this situation, is it a good or bad looking chart? That really just depends on what your angle and what your strategy going into it was. So yes, bigger pullback here. However, within the grand scheme of things, that pullback still has the opportunity to build those higher bases, and that's what uptrend building is all about. Next one, RXRX, and a pretty crazy day today, but now a very nice little pattern here. And these can be very, very solid patterns because, you know, just the psychology behind it. So real quick breakdown. Big gap up, opening 30 minutes, just complete and utter bloodshed. Next couple candles, red and red. And then all of a sudden, at this point, it becomes a very valid question to say, okay, was this just one massive gap and trap? Is this thing going to just collapse back down and close the gap? And actually got our answer, and no, it didn't. In fact, it started to trend itself and work its way back upwards. So let me be very clear. Does that mean that in and of itself, it's guaranteed that the pullback is over and that this thing is going to go back up to highs? Of course not. There are no guarantees. But does it become a little bit more valid? Does it become a little bit more rational to think that, okay, I think this pullback is over? Yeah, it certainly becomes rational, especially when you can get these trend lines in place. And then from the flip side of things, just such a clear upwards breakout point. Right there at $12, and we'll call it 60 cents, is where the price has struggled. So moving forward into into tomorrow, I was going to say next week, but tomorrow's only Thursday. If the price were to come up here and break up through there, does that guarantee anything? Again, it does not, but it would be a little bit of a, you know, this little wedge pattern breakout to the upside, which would be a good thing. So like I said, if you like these sort of scenarios where you get that big nasty pullback, but then the price starts to show that maybe this was a bit of an overblown panic pullback where the thing is, you know, regaining some strength, regaining some footing, I'd certainly keep an eye on it. Next one here, RIVN, and a relatively tricky chart here in the sense of, and let me take a step back. For those of you that watched the video from yesterday, I put that red trend line into play as a resistance level, and it actually played a very vital role, but it also made things somewhat tricky because price gapped up, pulled back, and then fell back below the breakout point. So at that point, it became very valid to say, okay, well, fake breakout, that's a bummer. And then the price just kept dropping. So it became that much more valid to say, yep, that was definitely a fake breakout. You're getting a lot of confirmation to the downside. But then all of a sudden, the price slammed on the brakes, came back up to that trend line, broke through it, and then just kept on grinding. So overall, a very healthy day. But I can see how it would be tricky from a trading standpoint earlier on in the day because that opening 30 minutes really made things look like a faulty gap and trap breakout, and then all of a sudden recovered the rest of the day. So overall, like I said, trading standpoint, pretty tricky, but from an overall health standpoint, very, very healthy to see that nice little turnaround there. And now the price approaches these previous highs right up here at, let's just call it $26.50. So that'll be the main battleground to watch closely here. You can see right here, provided a problem point, and now the price is sitting up right there and looking like a potential problem point there, maybe a double top. But to be fair, our RIVN has been very strong, so this may just be a blip on the radar as this thing continues to beast mode upwards. But the point here being is that, there's several different angles you could take as far as trade plans are concerned, right up there at the 26.50 mark. And then as far as levels of support are concerned, you got to think a lot of people have drawn on that trend line right there, which brings about the attribute of potential self-fulfilling prophecies. So certainly keep an eye on that level right there. But overall, we'll see what happens with it. But yeah, crazy morning, but nice recovery the rest of the day. Next one here, ticker symbol MULN. And overall, the downtrend continues, and it's looking like the party very well could be over. However, with that being said, I can't say that for sure because, to be fair, it's not like the price has completely gone back to this area of the chart where it all started, but it's getting very, very close. And, I'm not saying this will occur, but if the price does drift down a little bit further and does get down to that, 11, 12 cent area, then essentially what you have is an epic move up and then giving back all those gains, which is just essentially the epitome of a dead cat bounce. So again, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but I am saying that that is why this level here moving forward, I would definitely consider a muscle level right there at the 12 cent mark, because again, like I said, any breaks below 12 cents essentially puts it right back inside of this range where it was. And, not to insult anybody's intelligence, but price movements that go back to where they started, not exactly a sign of genuine power. And then as far as levels of resistance are concerned, nothing new here to report. For those of you that have been watching past videos, you know that I've had that trend line in place, and you can see that trend line continues to offer up a good kind of guide in terms of where the resistance and sellers are sitting at. So nothing changing there other than the fact that, yeah, this thing's getting very, very close to just being a full-blown, dead cat bounce. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering here very soon. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then certainly get signed up for the free live class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box, or if you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free live training. Next one, AMC, and this will mean a tad bit more to those of you that have watched past videos, but if you have, then hopefully you remember me talking about that area of resistance right there. And you can see that, as expected, this area is being very, very stubborn and quite annoying. This morning, price actually pushed up through that level, but it was one of those nasty and annoying fake breakouts, and back down the price went. And you can see now the price has worked its way upwards. And in fact, as I speak, and like I said, this is why I like to do these when the market's still open, because you can see the price is making an attempt right now to potentially go up there and do battle with that 445 mark. But 445 will be the main battleground to watch headed into Thursday, even more so now because there's just going to be that many more eyeballs watching it, which brings about those potential self-fulfilling prophecies. So you're going to want to keep a close eye on that. And then as far as supports, nothing new here to report. Still all about that purple line there, 50-period moving average. As time goes by, that line will move itself higher and higher. So it's basically like a trend line that's drawn itself for you. So as long as the price stays above that trend line, then that in and of itself implies that the price is putting in higher bases, higher lows, and that's what you want to see. But yeah, no doubt about it. Last 30 minutes as I talk, check this volume bar out. Huge. There we go. Huge volume bar there. You look over here, you can see volumes coming in very nicely. So definitely setting up for an interesting Thursday. Next one here, TSLA Tesla, and all things considered, a good solid day, but there's once again some of that perspective that goes into it. Meaning if you're a day trader and you bought right up there, yeah, then probably not the greatest day because there was ultimately this pullback. But if you care about more so the bigger picture of things, price broke outside of this little range that had formed. So let me get this into play because this is also going to be a key level of support now moving forward. Right there at 270.75. And that level is important just because if the price were to drop down here, then we have that situation again where all of a sudden Tesla has gone right back into this area where it just was, which doesn't mean that the entire chart's, broken or anything like that. But as far as, today's movement is concerned, the movement would just be considered to not have any sort of genuine power behind it because, well, the price would all of a sudden be right back in this range. With that being said, if the price can prove itself meaning coming down here, holding above that level and then working its way back upwards. Well, now all of a sudden, what do we have? Well, we have those famous stair steps are back where you'd have a set of lows there, you'd have lows there, and you'd have a set of new stair steps starting to form. So for me, that's why that 270.75 mark, very important. And then in terms of levels of resistance, key level to watch, just because I think a lot of people have probably drawn that trend line right there. It's going to be right up there around the 276 mark. So like I said, assuming you care about the bigger picture point of view, nice day today. Now the main focus for Thursday is going to be staying outside of that range and not falling back into where it just was. Next one, HCTI. And overall, nasty day today after that opening 30 minutes. But it wasn't a total and utter train wreck, but it is getting a little sketchy here. But nonetheless, like I said, it's still a very volatile stock, and a lot of you like volatile stocks, and I understand that's kind of the nature of day trading is you can't have stocks that move like, molasses. You got to, have those stocks that got some oomph behind them. So right here, just basic premise here, that this was a low here, and you can see that throughout the course of the day. The price never violated that level, so that could be an area where you find some buyers right there. If that level does not hold up, then I'd keep a close eye on that purple line, which I realize does not seem relevant right now, but as a reminder, that is the moving average. So as that time goes by, that line is going to move itself higher and higher and get more and more relevant. So keep an eye on those couple of dynamics from the support side of things. In terms of levels of resistance, main level to watch right there, going to be that level area of resistance where if the price can push up through there, then I'm not going to say it's headed up to those highs, but I could see a good quality, movement if the price can get a high volume break of that area there. So like I said, if you like to play these sorts of pullback situations where it's looking kind of rough, but it's not like the chart is totally falling apart, I'd keep an eye on it. Next one here, AMD, and I really like this setup for one reason. Well, I mean multiple reasons, but the main level being AMD, very, very popular stock. And once again, going back to the whole talking point of self-fulfilling prophecies, you got to think that everybody, their brother's uncle, has drawn a line right there at essentially $115.25. So I'm not trying to impress you. This is not a great discovery. I'm not trying to make any of those claims. A lot of people, you have to think, have taken notice of that. So we have a resistance there. We have a resistance there. And then today we have a resistance. So are there anything guaranteed? No guarantees, as you know. But is it valid? Is it plausible that if the price comes up here and pushes you to that level, that break in and of itself, just because you're going to have breakout players saying, oh, I'm a breakout player. Oh, look, that's breaking out. Oh, I'm supposed to buy. That is certainly valid, especially when you factor in that AMD is a very popular stock and there are going to be a lot of people out there watching it. So like I said, if you like to place potential self-fulfilling prophecy breakouts, I'd certainly keep an eye right there at 115.25. Next one, TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ. So if you believe that the NASDAQ market as a whole is going to rise, this one will also rise. And overall, just a good solid pattern here that, again, going back to that talking point of self-fulfilling prophecies, got to think that's in play. So we have our area of resistance. We have our support right there, which is a former breakout point. So a classic example of a former resistance now acting as support. In fact, let me change that to green to represent more so the support dynamic of things. And then to make it all easier to see from a pattern perspective, let's get it with the same color. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the big upwards move here. For you golfers out here, let's put the golf hole down here. So this would be a bull pennant pattern. So if you like bull pennant patterns, then definitely keep an eye on it. If you like situations where you got to think a lot of people are watching the same dynamics, and then you can therefore kind of calculate in a potential self-fulfilling prophecy within your trade plan, then I would definitely say this one meets the bill. Because again, like AMD, this is a very popular ETF. In fact, a lot of people would probably say the most popular ETF. So you got to think that there's going to be all sorts of people watching this pattern here heading into Thursday. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I want you to get signed up for the class. It'll actually be very soon, Thursday, July 13th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. And like I said, we'll talk all about this tool and why it's so beneficial. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, please do two things for me. Hit the like button, leave a comment below. Tell me what you traded today. Tell me what you're watching tomorrow. But hitting the like button, leaving a comment really does help out the videos. It helps out the channel and communicates to me that you're enjoying. And as long as I know you are enjoying, I will continue to put in the time and effort for these videos. So thanks for watching. Take care. Hit that like button, leave a comment below, and go get signed up for that free class.